Hey, what's going on, guys? June here with Hapa英会話, and joining me today is Kelly from Cafe Talk. What's going on, Kelly? How you doing today?
Hey, I'm doing good. How are you?
Good, good. So let's talk about this sentence together today.
Okay.
I went to the train station by foot. So I want to talk about this particular by foot, by car, by bus, by taxi, by airplane, because when you directly translate it from Japanese to English, ね、歩いて駅に行きました。車で駅に行きました。タクシーで駅に行きました。It's very easy to do the by and the method of transportation when you directly translate. So, before we get into, maybe I'll just ask you point blank here. I went to the train station by foot. Is this correct?
Technically, of course.
Right? Yeah.
There's a really big difference between it's not wrong English or incorrect English, but as a native speaker, when I see this sentence, it does sound a little weird. Like my ears hear it and they're like, I understand what you're saying, which is the main goal of any conversation. Make yourself understood by your partner, your opponent, whatever. But it does kind of have that little tick go off where you're like, by what? Huh? Wait, you did what now? So it is a little awkward. It's definitely not incorrect. The grammar is fine, but it is a little strange.
Okay, so there you go. So that's what I wanted to get out first was I went to the train station by foot. 文法的には間違っていない。ただ、ケリー先生が言ったように、やっぱちょっとネイティブの感覚からすると、文法的には間違っていないけど、やっぱりね、違和感がある表現なので、やっぱアメリカ人とかね、ネイティブって歩いて行きましたよとか、車で行きましたよっていうのを by 何々で表現することってあるかもしれないけど、we have other ways of expressing that. So, let's start with by foot. I went to the train station by foot. How would you say this, Kelly?
So you guys are not going to like this answer because it's so much easier to say I went to the train station and then have that be your base sentence and change just one part of that sentence. By foot, by car, by bus, by train. What would be more natural for me is to not use went at all. Say the method of transportation as your verb. I walked to the train station sounds to me much more natural and smoother than I went to the train station by foot. And there's a couple of reasons, because went is very general. Okay, you came from this point to this point. It almost invites an extra question of, you're being a little vague. I don't know what you mean. How did you go to the train station? By foot. Like we talked about in the last video, native speakers like to be a little bit lazy. If I have to ask you a follow-up question, I'm going to think, couldn't they have just given me this information in the first sentence?
I think you just gave the easiest answer for them to figure out this sentence, right? Is all you have to really do is change that verb, right? Went を使う代わりにyou just plug in the method of transportation right in there. You use in this case, walk, right? So I went to the train station by foot. の代わりに you just make it very simple and you say I walked to the train station. もうそれだけだよね. Yeah.
Easy peasy, right?
Yeah, very easy peasy right there. 車で駅に行きました。これどうしてもね、日本語から英語に直訳すると、車で行くだから、I went to the train station by car になるけど、if you want to make this a very simple sentence, what would it be, Kelly?
I drove to the train station. Simple, easy, all my information is there. Sounds way more natural.
Yeah, and much shorter too. So I went to the train station by car の代わりに、ものすごくシンプルに I drove to the train station. How about タクシーで行きました。まあこれもね、this is also a car. Is it I drove to the train station? How does it work right here? これちょっと難しいかな。
Yeah, so I knew this one was going to come up because drive is also a little vague, right? Now, we also talked about verbs before. Maybe the absolute correct way to say this would be, I was driven by taxi to the train station, right? I was a passenger. There was a taxi driver that did the driving. I was just in the car. Maybe that's the most grammatically specific technical way. But the more natural, just English native speaker way would be, I took a taxi to the train station.
Yeah.
I know I didn't drive the taxi with took a taxi. I was a passenger in the taxi, a customer.
Yep.
I took a taxi to the train station.
There you go. So タクシーを乗る場合は take a taxi ねの表現を使って I went to the train station by taxi ではなくて I took a taxi to the train station。バスとタクシーは just remember it, you take a taxi, you take a bus。もうそれだけだよね。Super simple right here. How about an airplane? Let's say you don't take an airplane to the train station, but let's say you go to Hawaii, for example, any place where you need an airplane. Can you also take an airplane to a location?
You can, but you could also say I flew to Hawaii. So obviously I was a passenger. Obviously I was not flying the plane. So that's kind of understood already. If you say I flew, nani. Obviously, I was a customer and a passenger.
Yeah.
Very few people actually fly the plane, right? So that's already understood. I don't have to be more specific, like I took a plane. Which you can say, but again, that I flew to Hawaii. Simple, smooth, a little bit more natural.
Yeah, there you go. 車の場合は I drove to the train station. でもタクシーとバスは運転手がいるから、you don't drive the taxi unless, you're a taxi driver, but, you take the taxi or you take the bus. でもケリー先生が言ったみたいに飛行機の場合はもうそのまんま fly っていう動詞を使って I flew to Hawaii, I flew to 北海道, I flew to New York のように飛ぶっていう動詞を使うことができるんだよね。で、ここではもちろん自分パイロットってね、多分この世の中にそんなにいないからジュンさんが自分で飛行機をね、操縦して飛んでったんですかって思う人は誰もいない。No one's ever going to think that you were the one, behind the pilot seat, flying the airplane. It's understood that you are the passenger in the airplane. So 飛行機の場合はI flew to Hawaii. Very simple, right? I went to Hawaii by airplane. の代わりに very simple, I flew to Hawaii. Okay, let's just recap what we talked about today. Again, I want to emphasize that I went to the train station by foot. I went to the train station by car. It's not wrong. It's not incorrect. Grammatically, it's correct. If you say it to a native speaker, they will understand what you're saying. So ここはね、決して間違いではないですし、文法的にも正しいのですが、やはりネイティブの感覚から言うと、ちょっと長い、right? You wanna できるだけシンプルにして、ネイティブもね、やっぱこうシンプルな文章で話すのが好きなので、by 何々を、これを動詞に置き換えるわけですよね、right? で、例えば、車の場合だったら、運転をするっていう動詞を入れて、I drove to the train station. ね。で、タクシー、バス。この辺は
Yeah, those are the big ones,
Those
right?
are the big ones, right? Yeah. Take a taxi, take a bus, take a train, or you could take a boat or take a ferry. のように、take a の後に、その交通手段を入れます。で、飛行機の場合は、ここは take a airplane って言ってもね、間違いではないけれど、もうちょっと自然な言い方としては、シンプルに fly 飛ぶっていう動詞を使って、I flew to Hawaii, I flew to New York. で、自転車に乗る場合は、ここは ride を使って、I rode my bicycle to the train station のように表現をします。Alright, Kelly, as always, thank you very much for simplifying this sentence that seems so complicated, but it's really not. You just gotta make it as simple as possible.
Yeah, I think you guys will do great. It's okay.
All right. And to everybody watching today, thank you guys for joining in. Don't forget, Kelly is an awesome tutor on Cafe Talk. You can find her information in the description below, or you can go to cafetalk.com and find her there. All right, Kelly. Well, thank you very much for today, and I hope to have you back again.
Thank you. Bye, guys.
Bye, guys.